What's up, friends, and happy Friday. Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports. Getting your weekend going here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com.
Kansas Naked?
Kansas Naked. I was going to say we are downtown live on Mass Street.
Yes, we are.
You like that?
We are downtown live on Mass Street. We never thought that we would be doing this show live on Mass Street, working for Unit Broadcasting.
But here we are.
We were actually specifically told that.
Yeah, state-of-the-art studio here on Mass Street. It's been a lot of fun. Coming up on a year here at Kansas Nation, and pumped to continue keeping this thing rolling as we've got, of course, our daily Rock Chalk Sports podcast. We've got a great selection on the Kansas Nation Podcast Network. Stay tuned in the next few weeks. We're going to be breaking news for everything that's coming up here this football season, basketball season. Of course, Haney and the Hawks will be back, but we'll have some other special podcasts as well that you can check out, not only live, but of course, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever floats your boat there. We will be here. Kansas Nation, and we're really excited for football season, basketball season. The off season is just about over, and we're going to talk KU football here in the opening segment.
It's kind of that weird area where there's a lull and there's nothing going on right now, but you and I can both like the anticipation, the anxiety, we can feel it.
You can feel it in the air.
Feel it in the air.
Right.
It's right there in our grasp. Next week, we're going to be out at the Anderson Family Football Complex talking to these guys.
Yes.
Oh,
man. Iconic Auditorium. Looking for parking spots.
Iconic, yeah.
Oh, man.
It's going to be so good.
It's going to be great. Yeah, head coach Lance Leipold is going to speak on Tuesday, and that's going to start a 2, 3, 4 week stretch where the guys are going to be getting after it in this hot, muggy, steamy weather that lets us know that fall is just around the corner. September 4th is the opening game for Kansas football. It's a Friday night affair against Long Island at David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium. And then the week after that, of course, Missouri comes to town. That will be a very popular one. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to. And we're going to talk KU football here in the opening segment. Next segment, we're talking more Melvin Council speculation. Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal-World was in studio a couple days ago. Also grabbed lunch with Henry yesterday, and Shreyas Laddha, who we're going to have a little bit later in the show in studio. So we've seen a lot of Henry Greenstein because he was over at Charles Koch Arena as well. It's been a Henry-littered week, if you will.
Henry-a-thon.
Henry-a-palooza. So we'll ask Shreyas, rather, about a few personal things he's got going on, but about the Melvin Council speculation that we'll speak on, and some Darren Peterson stuff as well. Shreyas Laddha, our resident NBA insider, and of course, Bill Self spoke. Shreyas was a little bit late. He showed up at 3:04 to Bill Self's 3 o'clock press conference the other day. But he had a good excuse. He was meeting with Travis Goff.
Yes.
I had to very briefly throw him under the bus there. But no, he had a meeting with Travis Goff, did Shreyas Laddha, and then came into Coach Self's press conference, and a lot to get to with him here in studio. Shreyas Laddha, Kansas City Star. After that, Dan, it is sports stock market.
Ding.
What do we got on tap today?
Got a lot of good stuff. I have a personal one on here, too. Stocks down on scammers just because my credit card information got stolen. So that's always a ton of fun. I got a lot of good stuff on here. I actually have pedicures, Big 12 Monster Energy Drink logo. Now we kind of know what it's going to look like, which is worse than what I anticipated, which really, really sucks. DoorDash is on here, resumes. I got a lot of good stuff, and we're doing a little UFL talk. That's right, Sean. I know you've been waiting for this all year long. We're going to be talking about the UFL.
Wow.
Big news coming out of the UFL.
I know you also want to get into some KU soccer stuff, too. It was fun seeing some photos, KU soccer, KU volleyball as well. They had their media day, which is always so interesting because it's like not really media day. It's not a day that media are invited to.
It's picture day. Just call it picture day.
Yeah, it's picture day. That's what it is. Picture day, maybe a few hits on TikTok, but yeah, that's about it. KU soccer, KU volleyball got their headshots, all their photos done in preparation for this upcoming season, and we want to remind you of the early matches for those two programs, both of whom are on the up and up. I mean, Nate Lee, what he did with KU soccer, really impressive. And then certainly Matt Ulmer, a national championship winning coach. He enters year 2 here at Kansas. We actually had Ray Bouchard, the legend, here in the Kansas Nation studio a couple days ago, and we will be having a special edition of Haney and the Hawks that'll be released in a couple weeks. It's going to line up with Coach Bouchard's induction into the Kansas Sports Hall of Fame. He's going to be a 5-time Hall of Famer. So shout out to him, one of the great guys in the business. And shout out to his son, Brennan Bouchard, who's on staff for KU men's basketball. He recently had a pretty important birthday. So shout out to the Bouchard family. But yeah, keep an eye on that, Haney and the Hawks. And then we've got our Kansas City Chiefs football opponent outlook preview. We have made it to week 11, and this is the end of that 3-game stretch. This week was kind of nice because we literally previewed the 3 teams that you absolutely need to beat at that part of the schedule with the Jets, the Falcons, and now today the Arizona football Cardinals, the Fighting Josh Rosens, if you will.
Yes, I saw something that apparently the Cardinals have the least amount of projected wins since like the expansion teams, the Jags and the Panthers back in '95 or whatever it was. So it's probably going to be an ugly one. I mean, they signed their quarterback of the future in Jacoby Brissett, so that's good for them. They also got Jeremiah Love, which is okay. But yeah, this is going to be an absolute bloodbath. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Again, we'll certainly see. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is going to be one of those NFL opponent outlook breakdowns where I just get a little sad for the other team. So like the Cardinals, I feel so bad for them. It's not looking good, man.
JJ Watt's not walking through that door. Neither is Larry Fitzgerald.
No. Kurt Warner, Carson Palmer,
Patrick Peterson,
Emmitt Smith,
Cedric Benson.
Ooh, good. Anquan Bolden. Come on. Cedric Benson was a good poll, by the way.
Who is their
James Conner?
Who is their actual? He is walking through the door, though, isn't he?
I thought he's not with the Cardinals anymore. Is he? For some reason, I thought he was.
James Conner is a American professional football running back for the Arizona Cardinals of the National Football League.
All right, I stand corrected.
Who else should we? Honey Badger.
DeAndre Hopkins. Tyrann Mathieu. It's true.
Good stuff. Anyway, Arizona Cardinals football chatter there to close out our show. Get your weekend going, though. First, I want to tell you about Meritrust. Meritrust Credit Union, new partners of us here at Kansas Nation. You know the feeling. The field house gets loud, the chant starts low, and the Jayhawks bring the energy. That's Lawrence. Meritrust Credit Union thinks your money deserves that same feeling. A team in your corner that's pulling for you, win or lose, season after season. Financial well-being isn't just something they offer, it's why they exist. First car, first home, first business. Whatever's next in your money story, they are right around the corner at 6th and Wakarusa here in Lawrence. Real people making real decisions locally. Meritrust Credit Union, the official financial well-being partner of Kansas Athletics. Stop by the branch or visit meritrust.org, federally insured by the NCUA. Well, we talked about how next week we're going to go over to the football complex and hear from these guys. I mean, we are officially in it to where we're going to be seeing our colleagues. We're going to be seeing the players, the coaches now for a long time. And the last time we saw these guys was the spring, and you got to chat with some of them. Of course, you know, getting to know some of them, you got to chat to with some of the newcomers, but not everybody was on campus yet. We did get to hear from guys like Najee Cox and Nick McMillan a little bit, and you spoke to him a little bit at the Good Game event, Meet the Team tour a couple weeks ago. But the last time that we saw Kansas football as a full team was that heartbreaking loss to Utah to close out the season. Back-to-back 5 and 7 years for KU, Dan. We are focusing right now on Kansas getting to at least 6 wins, right?
Yes.
Kansas won 9 games back in the 2023 season, and that was on the heels of going to their first bowl game in 14 years. Back-to-back bowl games. The trajectory of this program, everybody was thinking, all right, we're on the up and up. You and I first started our show together following that 9-4 bowl winning campaign, and we're looking at the schedule that next season. We're thinking, all right, we got Jalen Daniels, we got Devin Neal. There's a lot of wins on this schedule. I mean, it was not out of the realm of possibility that Kansas team won 9, 10, 11 games. It didn't work out. And kind of the unfortunate, whether it was playing tight or whatever it was that happened, a lot of unfortunate circumstances led to Kansas going 5 and 7. You had the issue at Illinois with the pick 6 before the half. You had the UNLV game where you were unable to pick up the football. It was a weird year in general because you were playing at Children's Mercy Park. You were playing at Arrowhead Stadium, not executing down the stretch. And unfortunately, some of that kind of leaked into the next year, which was last year, where Kansas again really struggled closing games. And ultimately what you're left with is 2 5 and 7 years when Kansas football right now, kind of the bar with where KU football is seen nationally, you got to get to at least 6. And I think that's undoubtedly the goal. Yes. Do we want to win 10 games and be in the Big 12 championship game? Absolutely. But you got to get to at least 6. So your thoughts on that and what it's going to take for Kansas holistically to find a way to get back to a bowl game for the first time in 3 years?
Yeah. I will say this. If Kansas wins 2 games in 2024, one in 2024 and one in 2025, if they win 2 extra games, we're singing a whole different tune, partner.
And there's a lot of games you can point to in those seasons.
Exactly, because it's a game of inches, right? I mean, you can look at, the first one that comes to mind is Trey, and I love Trey Lathan, but just the Trey Lathan, missed interception where, they wind up going down and scoring again. Or, the red zone interceptions in the Utah game last year. I mean, you look at the fumble Ruski in the UNLV game 2 years ago, right? I mean, all of these things can accumulate to where if literally I'm going to say like 2 individual plays go your way, you're singing a different tune, because Kansas goes to a bowl game for 4 straight years for the first time in program history. That's the biggest, that would be like the biggest accomplishment ever. We'd be singing a whole different tune. Nobody in the stratosphere of college athletics will be talking about, Lance Leipold hot seat, or, what is Jalen Daniels' legacy, or, this or that, right? Because that stuff wouldn't matter, because you would go to 4 straight bowl games, right? So 2 plays, it's a game of inches. It is absolutely a game of inches. So, yeah, it's heartbreaking, and that's football. Football is a heartbreaking sport. It's also a romantic sport. That's what makes it a beautiful game. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to put that out there, is that Kansas was very, very close. Now, you can actually pinpoint and look at the different things, because you look back at the 2024 season where, yeah, you said it was a weird year. You were playing in Sporting Park. You're also playing in Arrowhead. But you had 3 straight victories against ranked opponents, right? With BYU, Iowa State, and Colorado. And
as trying as those years were,
yeah,
that says something about Coach Leipold and his staff and the buy-in that these guys have. 2-6 in the dumps in a season where some picked you to win as many as 11 games. You're 2-6. Best case scenario, you win your next 4, and the 3 that you have staring at you are against ranked teams, and they win all 3. That says something. The guys continue to play.
You and I remember specifically having the conversation of like, man, we're going to be 2-9, like after that stretch. And then, like, maybe you beat Baylor. And then turns out the exact opposite happened, where you beat those 3 teams. And then you wind up losing to Baylor in the last game of the season. And you wind up going 5-7. I mean, it's just incredibly unfortunate. So, again, it is a game of inches where literally 2 plays would change the entire perspective of Kansas football in a national aspect, in fans' aspects, in everyone's eyes, in recruits' eyes. I mean, it's literally comes down to 2 plays. Now, when we look at this team, there's a lot of changes. You're not going to have Jalen Daniels for the first time in 6 years, at least on the roster, right? You're not going to have Devin Neal, Daniel Highshaw, right? You have a nice running back room. You are bringing back Cam Pickett, but there's a lot of turnover everywhere on this roster, right? You do have some guys who are coming back, particularly in the corners with Jalen Todd and Austin Alexander. You have Trey Lathan coming back, which is going to be a nice addition. Obviously, Taylor Davis at safety as well. So you like the way the defense is kind of shaping up, and you like the depth pieces that they've added there as well. But realistically, when you look at this, you're in year 2 of DK McDonald. You expect, and I'm not saying you hope, you expect him to get a lot better. And I certainly think that he will. He will get a lot better. DK McDonald will. You expect Andy Kotelnicki to come in after his little hiatus over in Pennsylvania, comes back to Kansas, bringing back that super fun offense that we all remembered watching. I mean, you remember watching that like double bootleg pass. I saw it on Twitter not too long ago, where it was a 2-quarterback set. You had Jason Bean and Jalen Daniels in there. Jalen Daniels hands the ball off to Jason Bean. Jason Bean throws and hits Luke Grimm. And I mean, like, stuff like that is so fun to watch, and it's so hard to cover. That's the kind of stuff that Andy Kotelnicki is going to bring to you, right? They also ran some really fun. I remember the Kai Thomas touchdown in the Liberty Bowl, where it was a little running back leak kind of seam route where they were in 13 personnel. I mean, who thinks of stuff like that, right? So with Andy Kotelnicki coming back, only continuing to get better with a lot of fun, talented, skill position players, with DK McDonald heading into year 2. Again, the expectation is going to be 6 wins for me. I know you can look at this roster. I know everyone's looking at this roster and saying 4 or 5 wins or whatever, right? Ceiling is 7, floor is 2. I'm saying the expectation is 6 because of the fact when you look at everything surrounding this Kansas football program, it should be 6 wins. There has to be 6 wins there. Cole Ballard has enough experience to be a serviceable quarterback to get these guys the ball. Andy Kotelnicki, excellent offensive coordinator, is going to scheme up things in order to make these guys on the outside and make the running backs successful. DK McDonald in year 2 has enough talent and has enough experience, at least on the exterior of the defense, to be able to close out those games, something that we have not been able to see over the last several years. So, yeah, I mean, when I look at this, the expectation for me is at least 6 wins. And if it's anything lower than that, I am going to be severely disappointed.
When you look at points per game, and I've talked about this before on the show, Andy Kotelnicki's final season here at KU before he went to Penn State, 2023, KU averaged 34.77 points per game. Last season, KU averaged 28.08 points per game. That's nearly a 7-point difference. That is absolutely massive. Mm-hmm. It's not all because of Coach K. That 2023 team had Devin Neal. That's a big deal, and fantastic wide receivers as well. Last year, there were some issues. Until the last game of the season, you didn't have a running game that you felt like was fantastic. They finally put it together and were both healthy, talking Sean Williams last year. And you had receivers who probably weren't as talented and also weren't healthy throughout in last year's grouping. Emmanuel Henderson had a really nice season, but you didn't have healthy Levi Wentz a lot of the year, and Bryson Canty wasn't healthy basically all year either. So I understand that, but how often is the difference between a win and a loss? 7 points.
Very often.
I mean, Kansas has played so many one-possession games the past couple seasons where they've ended up on the short end of the stick. And yes, some of it is the luck factor like we've talked about. I brought that up when we were talking about the BYU game from a couple years ago, how Kansas was the unluckiest team in the country, literally by the luck factor at 3-6, and BYU was the luckiest team in the country, 9-0. And, as fate would have it, a muffed punt is what helped KU win that game in Provo.
The pendulum swung.
Yes, but, there is something to be said, I think, for making your own luck. You can't not pick up a fumble against UNLV. And we probably never would have thought, watching that game at Children's Mercy Park a couple years ago, that 2 years later we'd still be referencing it. But that's how much it stings, and that's how much, I don't want to say that play defined the next 2 seasons of Kansas football, but that's one that a lot of Jayhawk fans remember because that UNLV team, who ended up being good, by the way, they shouldn't have come in and beaten Kansas even at a soccer field in Kansas City, Kansas, right? KU was wearing the Nighthawk uniforms, and they were all set for a fantastic season. You're thinking, okay, 3-0, you beat UNLV at home. I think you were decent favorites in that game. And then you go to Illinois, a power conference team, but a winnable game where I believe Kansas was favored in that game, and you lost both of them because of bad execution at the ends of halves and at the end of the games. And I think that's where, to me, the Kotelnicki factor is going to be most seen by KU fans. It's the players that are on the field. We talk about that a lot. Bill Self's not out there shooting threes, right? If they're missing threes, what do you want him to do? He drew up the play. Yeah, a coach can only do so much. He is not out there. But I do think that schematically, Coach K is going to be able to manage games from an offensive side at the ends of halves, the ends of games more appropriately. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Because what's happened the past couple seasons is a lot of head scratching on why Kansas is doing this and why Kansas is doing that at the ends of halves, and it's led to mistakes. It's led to the Jalen Daniels interceptions. It's led to the defense giving up chunk plays, and we understand that. He won't be doing anything on the defense, Coach K, but offensively, there are things you can do in terms of time management, in terms of ball security, in terms of execution that Coach K is going to bring that I think hopefully that's going to be the biggest change in a positive way for Kansas in the win-loss column moving forward.
Yeah, you certainly think so. I don't know. Maybe this is something that hasn't been talked about enough, but in terms of the consistency for at least the offensive coordinator position hasn't been there, right? Because you had, I mean, you look at the last 4 years, you had Andy Kotelnicki, then Jeff Grimes, then Jim Zabrowski, and then you're back to Andy Kotelnicki, which enough time has passed where a lot of these guys have never played under Andy Kotelnicki, right? I mean, you had Cole Ballard, and that's really it. You know what I mean? I mean, he's the only guy that I can even fathom who's going to get some meaningful playing time this year, who even has any realistic expectations of what Andy Kotelnicki has. Now, granted, he was here in the spring, so obviously you have the spring to get it acclimated, but still the consistency hasn't been there. And then the consistency last year for moving on from Brian Borland to DK McDonald, right? There's just not enough consistency there. So it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve as well, you would imagine, right? Cole Ballard is going to have to really, and again, I'm saying this as if Cole Ballard is going to be the starter. We don't know who the starter is going to be. Again, I think it's going to be Cole Ballard. That's the way that my mind is working right now. I just, for consistency's sake, for me, I think it's going to be Cole Ballard, and just because of the fact that he's the only one who's really played under Andy Kotelnicki, right? But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of changes with this Kansas team. Again, a lot of roster turnover, but Lance Leipold has been consistent. All of these guys have played under Lance Leipold, not the transfers who are coming in this particular year. But that's where the consistency comes from, is Lance Leipold. Yes, you have different offensive coordinators, you have different defensive coordinators coming in, but at the same time, you do have a little bit of consistency there with Lance Leipold. They understand how he likes to run his style of football, right? And, you know, I don't know. When you look at this roster, I think it's very important to get off to a hot start. And it's going to be, again, a little bit of a learning curve going under Andy Kotelnicki, because there's going to be a lot of guys who have never seen anything like this before. I mean, you think Nick Morrow and Yasin Willis and, you know, Najee Cox and Nick McMillan have played in this style of offense before? Absolutely not, because there's going to be weird wrinkles. So there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. That's why you're happy the fact that you have Long Island first, but then you have Mizzou, right? Then all of a sudden you have Arizona State, which is going to count as a conference game. So you have to get off to 2 hot starts there. You have to beat Middle Tennessee State. Hopefully you're 3-1 exiting that, heading into conference play. It's going to be a tough conference season because, again, you only have 3 home games in conference play. So you have to be able to win on the road as well. That's been one of the biggest things, I think, for this Kansas team, is they haven't been able to close out games on the road, which has been really unfortunate. This is going to have to be the season where they have to figure that out. And again, the expectation is that they do figure that out.
Home games, non-con, Kansas gets all 3 of them at home. So yeah, you feel good about that. You know, everybody looks at Missouri as the game, but Long Island, Middle Tennessee need to be wins. And then, you know, say you beat Missouri because you get them at home. Then your home games in conference play, Baylor, UCF, BYU. Take the road games out of it right now. Kansas should go 5-1 in those games, in my opinion. I understand that that's an optimistic outlook. Maybe 4-2 is more realistic, but Kansas has had success against BYU. I understand they were in the Big 12 championship game last year. You look at BYU as one of the more difficult games you have, and they've got a good sophomore quarterback and Bear Bachmeier coming in. Kansas beat BYU in 2023, and then they went to Provo and beat them in 2024. Baylor is going to be a middling team. UCF is going to suck. They're not going to be good. They should be maybe a 6-6 team, right, at best. You need to beat Baylor and UCF. So if you beat Baylor and UCF, and then you beat Long Island and Middle Tennessee, again, that's 4-2 if you lose both of those, what would be perceived as the hardest games. 5-1, I think, should be a realistic goal at home for Kansas. And then you've got games on the road that you feel okay about. And again, it probably depends on what side of the bed I wake up on that day, on how I'm going to view this season. But Arizona State is a neutral site game. Okay, you should go into that game thinking you've got a 50% chance of winning that game, right? And it comes down to those key plays that I talked about, particularly at the ends of halves, to determine if you win that game. West Virginia's not going to be good. That's a game Kansas should expect to win. Go to Morgantown. We have no idea what to expect of Oklahoma State. That's the last game of the season.
I think they're going to be bad. You and I both agree that they've been incredibly overrated because their whole team, they have 90 new players, and most of them are from North Texas.
Some of our colleagues are really bullish on Oklahoma State, and I get it. North Texas scored 1 million points last year, and they had Drew Mestemaker, and he's coming over and being the quarterback for Oklahoma State. But there's a lot of turnover, a lot of new guys there. It's a bummer, I would say, that Kansas doesn't get Iowa State or Colorado this year because those teams are not going to be very good. Everything that we think, they're not going to be very good. And it's strange that you don't get either of them. But, again, at West Virginia, I don't know why people are looking at that as a loss. So we can go on, but there's definitely a world where Kansas wins 7-8 games, just kind of off the top of my head speculating right there. Yeah. But excited to see what this offense can do. And a quick thing on the wide receivers, too, because we focus so much on the running backs. The running backs, I think we both agree that Yasin Willis is going to get a lot of run, and he may end up being your bell cow just as kind of your primary tailback. It's going to depend on the set. It's going to depend on the formation. But Dylan Edwards is going to be on the field, too. Mm-hmm. So that's two really good players that you've got. But at wide receiver, I think the ceiling is higher than it was last year. We never really got to see what Bryson Cansey could bring because he was injured all year. Levi Wentz had a couple nice moments, and then Henderson, we knew, he was a flash coming in, and he was a flash when he's here. But in terms of build, Nick McMillan and Najee Cox look good. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are good-looking players. McMillan, a guy who I think has the speed but still has more size than Henderson did. And then Cox is a guy who I think is going to be as physical as more physical than any of the guys last year. Yeah. And maybe even more physical than Skinner, Grimm, and LJ Arnold. So that's two really physical receivers that you like on the outside. And I'm excited about the tight ends as well. But wide receiver, I think Kansas has Big 12 caliber athletes, and that's going to be big, and hopefully whoever the quarterback is trusts those guys, and those guys make plays.
100%. And I don't know. You can stop me if I'm wrong about this. I am more bullish on this group of three guys than I have been, maybe more so than the big three of Skinner, Grimm, and Arnold. Right? Because of the fact that you have Nick McMillan coming in. He was a top 25 receiver in terms of yards last year in the nation, right? Najee Cox, I think the one thing that you can point at as a fault in his game is the fact that he doesn't get his body low enough whenever he comes out of routes, which, again, could lead to stumbling and different things. But you look at the high point aspect of it. You look at the physicality, the yards after catch that Najee Cox is able to provide you, right? Just the size that he has alone, the hands that he has. I mean, he is a true, legitimate, potentially number one, and he's a damn good number two receiver. And then you have Cam Pickett coming back. And we know Cam Pickett had a little bit of a lull in the middle of the season last year, but what we saw out of Cam Pickett was incredible, right? We know he has the ability to make an impact, not just in the receiving game, but everywhere on the field is Cam Pickett. So I'm very bullish on this group of three guys, and I think I like them more than I like the big three of Arnold, Skinner, and Grimm. Because if you remember, Arnold really disappointed in that last year, right? Skinner was fast. He was a birder down the sideline, and Grimm was really that possession guy, right?
Skinner had some big drops, which hurt.
That's the thing. Skinner had some massive drops. Oh, he had that. Did he have that drop against
K-State?
K-State, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that was a brutal one. You know what I mean? So, again, I'm higher on these three guys. We haven't seen them out on the field yet, but I'm calling my shot right now, and I'm saying that these three guys are going to be more productive than those big three were in terms of maybe total yardage. Now, granted, you don't have Jalen Daniels throwing them the ball. You have Cole Ballard throwing them the ball. I understand that. But the way that Andy Kotelnicki schemes up his offenses is going to get these guys open. And when you have a 1-2 punch like Yasin Willis and Dylan Edwards in the backfield, guess what? That makes heavier boxes. You know what that means? Less guys guarding the outside. So I love this group of wide receivers. And then Keaton Quebeca, I think this is his breakout year. I think Tate Nagy is going to be somewhat of a guy who can, be a serviceable, maybe, 15 to 20 catches, but they could be massive catches for this year. I love this wide receiver core right now. This is my favorite wide receiver core that I've seen in a long time for Kansas.
You've got the physicality, like I said, that I don't think you had last year. You had nice players in Henderson, and he was very fast. Yeah. Nice players in Henderson and Wentz. Didn't really have Cansey, but again, in terms of body type, in terms of build, these are real guys that Kansas has. And when you just look holistically, looking back at last year, Highshaw had some big plays throughout his career. Everybody remembers the Duke play. Mm-hmm. And LeSean Williams, a really nice player. But when you look at the skill position offensive players for this Kansas team, I mean, I'm sorry, I think it's night and day from last year because you've got McMillan, Cox, and then Pickett is the one holdover. But then Willis and Edwards, you've got so many more skill possession players who can make big plays. And, Jalen Dupree, we didn't see in the spring as well, but people are really high on him. Maybe he can have an impact. So excited about that. And again, I'm a big Carson Brune guy as well. Hopefully he has a healthy season and hopefully he can be impactful on that side as well.
Maybe we go 31 personnel. How fun would that be?
Let's do it.
A little wing tee action? I'd be okay with that.
Kansas football fall camp starts next week. We're going to have all sorts of coverage, not just here on Rock Chalk Sports, but on kansasnation.com and across our socials. More about that coming up. We're also going to talk KU basketball after this. Some more Melvin Council chatter. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on kansasnation.com. What a interesting couple weeks it's been, Dan, and it's been great being able to keep Jayhawk fans up to date on all things KU. And, we didn't necessarily think that it was going to be because of the basketball tournament, but it has been. You had a couple trips to Manhattan. We went down to Wichita on Monday. Next time, we are definitely going to get a reservation at that pizza joint because I was really craving pizza. That's we should do a top 10 things that you crave food-wise. Top 10 foods that you crave.
Yeah, top 10
but
cravings.
When my mind says we're getting pizza for dinner, we're getting pizza for dinner.
Yeah.
And when we don't get pizza for dinner, when that happens, that's not good.
And when you end up at Love & Co.
Yeah, we ended up at Love & Co. And it was a nice
okay.
place.
Yeah.
We had a nice meal.
It wasn't horrible. You know what I did yesterday, actually? I live right by the Runza here in town. Maybe a half mile away. And I told Piper, I said, I need ice cream. They have dollar cones. They're running a special this summer for dollar cones. So we walked and I got 2 ice cream cones.
Nice.
I had to.
Tore them apart.
I said, I need to go.
Did you get some frings as well? Runza's good, man. They've got
It
good
is
burgers.
good. It's good. I love Runza.
Yeah.
Shout out to Mr. Brewer over there from Nebraska.
Is that
Runza's like a Nebraska thing, right? Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, Nebraska, Wisconsin.
And then Pizza Hut's Wichita, right?
Yeah. But no, we went there because I was I said I need to get an ice cream cone because I just need it in my belly right now. And so we made a compromise that if we go get ice cream, we had to walk there. Just so I can burn off the calories.
Yeah, of course.
So naturally I got 2.
Right. Well, you are walking there and walking back.
Yeah, well, exactly. I'm like at a net neutral after that. It was
perfect.
good.
Everybody wins. But anyway, Kansas Nation at the Kansas Nation, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Kansas Nation on Facebook. Dan, we have had a lot of great coverage on that, and that's going to continue throughout football and basketball season. We've got a lot of cool things, like I said in the open, regarding podcasts we've got here at Kansas Nation. But during the season, give us a follow if you don't already, because we're going to have behind-the-scenes coverage. We're going to have press conferences. We're going to have exclusive interviews, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And, post-game press conferences with players, coaches, we're going to try to get some exclusive stuff as well. And, we're going to really be upping our content on all of our social media platforms too. Not just football, basketball, but we're talking women's soccer, women's basketball, volleyball. I mean, everything, you name it, we're going to be there. We are going to be covering it if it involves Kansas athletics. So be sure to give us a follow. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at The Kansas Nation, I believe on YouTube as well. Kansas Nation on Facebook. So check us out everywhere, and then also listen to all of our shows on all platforms everywhere: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher, maybe. I don't know. I'm sure we're on there. I know we have it distributed everywhere. So be sure to check out all of our shows. Sean and I's included in there, but also, we have Haney and the Hawks, Between Two Fountains with Greg Gurley and McShafer, Inside KU with Laney Boger. A ton of great content for you guys. We can continue to keep you up to breast.
When Henry Greenstein is not booking his next concert for going to check out the Red Hot Chili Peppers, he's writing for KUSports.com and the Lawrence Journal World, and he has an article regarding Melvin Council entitled, "How Might an Unexpected Return for Council Impact KU Basketball?" This was published yesterday by Greeny himself. This has been in the news a lot, Dan, and actually Jaden Dawson is now, I guess, suing the NCAA or something along those lines as well, trying to get an additional year of eligibility.
Yeah. He's involved in another one. It's 50 different guys in the state of North Carolina or something along those lines.
Yeah, so anyway, if we hear anything that's of note or interesting regarding the Jaden Dawson one, we'll pass it along. But the big thing right now is Melvin Council, and I'll let you kind of get into this article a little bit that Greeny wrote basically Council, who is 24, played a couple years at JUCO and, a couple years D1, trying to get an additional year of eligibility. You want to break this down more because it's something that maybe nothing will come of it, but maybe, I don't know what the percentage is, but maybe this will end up being a big deal for KU.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be a massive deal for KU if they were to be able to get Melvin Council Jr. back. It would make an absolute mockery of the NCAA. And if this were to, let's say, be the first domino to fall with Melvin Council, because he has a very specific case where he claims that he was forced to go JUCO first for 2 years and then winds up going 3 years at an NCAA institution. His thing was, hey, I never got to play 4 years or even 5 years in the NCAA. Yes, his clock has already started. He is already, 24 years old. He has the 5-year, starting clock or whatever. But at the same time, with this year, this is the grandfather in kind of year. So I think it would make a mockery of the NCAA. I think that this could potentially be, if Melvin Council Jr.'s case is the first one to fall, this could be the start of the end for the NCAA, because it's an absolute joke if they were to make this quote unquote ironclad rule where the 5-on-5 thing, gets put into place where they have to abide by this rule. It's this or nothing else. And if they wind up losing this in court, then everybody's going to be like, all right, well, then we can just continue to sue the NCAA. That's why they put this in place in the first point, is to be like, hey, guys, stop suing us. Now we're going to try to make an ironclad rule so where now you can't sue us. And now we're going to come back as this overlord reigning, corporate conglomerate that rules with an iron fist again, because really they've been getting pushed around by a lot of different people. Again, if this is the first domino to fall, I think it's the beginning of the end for the NCAA. And there's already talks with Greg Sankey and the SEC potentially wanting to get out of the NCAA. And I think, between you and me, don't tell anybody this, even though I'm speaking into a microphone on YouTube and the radio right now. I think the NCAA is not going to exist maybe in the next 10 years, maybe 15 years. It's coming. This is coming. And again, I think if I'm the NCAA, I'm not saying I want this. I'm saying if I'm the NCAA, I ensure that nobody can ever sue us again. So that means Melvin Council cannot get another year of eligibility. That means none of these guys, the 50 in North Carolina, the 5 or whatever it is in Ohio, they have to nip that in the bud and say absolutely not if the NCAA wants to continue. I'm saying this as from the NCAA's perspective, right? That's probably not going to happen. What's going to happen is that the NCAA is going to wind up losing some of these cases. They're going to become more of a joke than they already are. And they're going to cease to exist. I understand that's a little bit of a bigger picture than what you were asking for in terms of the Melvin Council thing. And I agree. I'll go back to your question. Yeah, I think it'd be good for Kansas to get Melvin Council Jr. back. But there's a lot of bigger things at play here.
The Hall of Fame head basketball coach Bill Self was asked about this yesterday or 2 days ago. Actually, you may have heard it on Rock Chalk Sports. And Self said, quote, "The reality of it is, I think that he's pursuing all his options, which I think is more than fair to do, just like everybody else is doing. And I hope it works out for him. Whatever's best for him is best. If he was guaranteed a place now, I'd say don't even consider it. You've got to go. But, depending on how it plays out, we'll see what happens. But I think it goes without saying that he would probably be welcome back from our fan base's standpoint. Adding Council would be a, quote, bonus, but it's not something that anybody's expecting, nor has it been part of our plans whatsoever," end quote. So I think that's a very truthful statement from Coach Self. Sure. They haven't planned on having Melvin Council back. I've said throughout this offseason kind of period of roster construction that I think Kansas needs another point guard. The interesting thing, and Stein brought this up the other day in the studio, he said, Melvin Council, when he's played college basketball, he has played college basketball.
Yeah.
He's started nearly every game. He's played over 20 minutes in, I think, every game. Mm-hmm. He's going to be an impact player on whatever team he's on. Greeny writes in this article, he has his flaws, but Council is the sort of player who inevitably defines a team. His so-called dog mentality seemed to trickle down to the rest of the 25-26 roster. The way they approach rivalry games, how they embrace defensive assignments against big-time players and teams, and so on. In return for the way he rose to the occasion in big moments, he was immediately embraced by KU fans as self-referenced, despite being, so it seemed, just a one-year player in Lawrence. he wasn't just a locker room leader, Henry points out. He led the Jayhawks in minutes per game, 35 minutes. Nobody else had more than 32 minutes per game. And he was a late game closer because he did not get tired. It was like Tyshawn Taylor, who's going to be here in the Kansas Nation studio a little bit later today, in terms of unbelievable motor, did not get tired. He had some huge moments. Of course, the NC State game comes to mind against Arizona when Kansas was without Darren Peterson, against an all-world 23-0 eventual Final Four Arizona team. Kansas grinded it out. An absolute grinder who's tough on both ends of the court. And now I say all that because everybody knows who Melvin Council is and who he was as a player. I think it goes without saying he would be welcome back. When you look at this from a roster standpoint, that would mean that there are 3 returning players for Kansas, because you have Cole Rosario and Paul Mbia. But it would be interesting to some of the new players, because if you remember, Taylon Kenny, when he first committed to Kansas, said that Coach Self had told him that he's going to get the keys to the car. He's going to be the man. Essentially, you're going to be the starting point guard, is basically what it was. And I'm not so sure if Council comes back, which, again, I have no idea. Maybe it's a 15% chance that Council comes back. But we can talk about it. I think if Council comes back, then he's your starting point guard.
Yeah.
And, that affects everybody, most notably Tay Kenny and Leroy Blyden. So we'll have to see. But I do think, as I've said over and over, that Kansas needs another on-ball guard. Now, I think Coach Self and the coaching staff feel okay about having Kenny as your 1 and Blyden as your backup 1/2 hybrid, but then you don't really have anything after that. I mean, Luke Barnett's not a on-ball guy, even though he was spoken very highly of by Coach Self because of his ability to shoot the ball. He's a true freshman coming in, but again, he's a stroker from the outside. And then you look at the other guards, and Cole Rosario, Dennis Parker, maybe they could bring the ball up on occasion, but they're not on-ball guards. So I think either way, Kansas is probably still in the market for another on-ball guard. Maybe not as deep down the depth chart as Ginyu Gala was, but somebody who can at least come in for 3, 4, 5 possessions and bring the ball up the court. And then, of course, if you do get Council, then it's a totally different story and affects those 2 guys I mentioned more than anybody else.
Yeah, I disagree with you. I think that you can't take Tay Kenny off of the court. I think that I understand that Melvin Council, yes, he's a hard worker. Yes, he crashes the boards and gets those rebounds. Yes, he's a good facilitator. But at the same time, he has some flaws in his game, which is unfortunate. But in terms of Tay Kenny, like we've heard from Coach Self, we actually heard it from him yesterday about how impressed he is in terms of scoring the basketball, which Melvin Council wasn't the best scorer of them all. I mean, you look at the shooting percentages, he wasn't great, right? There was a lot of times where you saw Melvin Council really kind of struggle to put the ball in the hoop. Yeah, defensively he was excellent, and he's a hustle guy, but I think that when you have a guy as talented as Tay Kenny, and I think that Tay Kenny, as of right now, is maybe the second most talented player on this basketball team, right behind Tyron Stokes. I think it's going to be hard. I mean, when you go 1-for-1 with Melvin Council and Taylon Kenny, I think Taylon Kenny is by far and away the more talented basketball player, and I think you need to play him more, which in turn puts another avenue in there for Melvin Council, which either A, he could be the backup point guard, or B, he could play that 2 spot. I don't know. You don't think that? You don't like that at all?
You are completely out of your mind.
I don't think so.
If you don't think that Melvin Council will play at least 28, 30 minutes.
I think that he will. I think that you need to have him slide over to the 2 spot.
Okay, so then you're saying Kenny will be the on-ball guy.
Yes.
And Council will be the 2.
I don't think Kenny can be.
I don't like that either.
Or Kenny could even slide into the 2.
Okay.
So you'd have your 2 wings be the 2 5-star freshmen. And then your point guard, the facilitator, is going to be the grizzled 25-year-old veteran.
Okay, but you just said slide him into backup point guard.
He could be a backup point. Well, okay, fine. So move Tay Kenny. I think you can't. The way that I'm phrasing this is essentially you can't.
Blyden's the one on the bench in your mind.
You cannot take Tay Kenny off the floor.
Blyden's the one on the bench
Correct.
in your mind. Okay.
Correct.
So that changes things then from Council being the backup point guard. Because if he is on this team, which again, I don't think it's going to be highly likely that he's on this team, but if he's on this team, that's 30 minutes of guard play that Melvin Council is out there of the allotted. If you're counting bigs as getting 80 minutes of the 200, then 120 of the minutes for the guards now is down to 90 of the current guys on this team.
Right.
So I don't know. But again, everything that Council's done and the fact that Bill Self has his guys and Council is a Bill Self type player, there's just no universe where he doesn't play 30 minutes a game.
I know. I understand that. That's why I'm saying I think you need to have both of them out there. I don't think you sit Tay Kenny because Tay Kenny is, again, the second most talented player on the basketball court at all times whenever Tyron Stokes is out there. If Tyron Stokes ever winds up on the bench, Tay Kenny is going to be the most talented player out there. He's more talented than Melvin Council is. I think it would be important to have Melvin Council be the facilitator, yes. So that's why you slide Tay Kenny over to the 2 spot. You do have an embarrassment of riches at your 2 and kind of maybe 3 spot, right? With Cole Rosario, with Leroy Blyden, with Dennis Parker Jr., right? You have a lot of guys who could potentially be rotational guys. But again, if you're looking at the starting guys, the impact guys, the guys who are going to be playing 25 to 30 minutes a game, it's got to be Kenny and it's got to be Tyron Stokes.
Okay.
And then go ahead and put in Melvin Council at the point guard spot.
I'll ask about the 3 then, because I'll assume you've got Dawes at the 4 and B at the 5.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you have Council and Kenny at 1, 2, so who's your 3?
Stokes. Oh, are you saying move Stokes to the 4?
So Stokes is okay. Yeah. So Stokes is the 3. Sorry, I was saying if Dawes is the 5 and Stokes is the 4.
Sure. I get you.
If Stokes is the 3,
I think
and you've got Council and Kenny there, that is too many buckets on the bench. Blyden, Parker, and Rosario are all on the bench.
Yes.
That doesn't work for me. And not that Tay Kenny isn't a bucket, but I think in terms of shooting the 3, Blyden and Rosario are going to be the best 3-point shooters on this team.
Yeah.
Hopefully Stokes and Kenny are both awesome and shoot 40% from 3, but those 2 guys, Blyden and Rosario, are going to be Blyden, Rosario, and Parker. If those 3 guys are all on the bench, I think there's going to be a lot of fans, weeks, months into the season, whatever, saying these guys need more time on the court because that's a lot of points, particularly from the perimeter. Now, it's all speculation, and we'll continue to talk about it. We'll talk about it with Shreyas Laddha next segment as well regarding Melvin Council. But yeah, exciting to talk about Melvin because he was one of our favorites. And yeah, let's get Zeke Mayo back too. Why not, right?
Yeah,
that was fun watching him on TV.
Is he still in the transfer portal?
Hey, more coming up after this as we'll have Shreyas Laddha from the Kansas City Star in studio. ESPN Kansas City, KansasNation.com. With Jayhawk checking from Central Bank, Jayhawk fans can carry their pride wherever they go with the official Jayhawk debit card, a simple way to show school spirit every day. As the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas, Central Bank is committed to serving Jayhawk fans with banking options designed for real life, on campus, at work, and everywhere in between. Learn more about Jayhawk Checking and the exclusive debit card at jayhawkchecking.com. jayhawkchecking.com. Central Bank, the proud community banking partner of the University of Kansas. Member FDIC. Let's bring on Shreyas Laddha from the Kansas City Star here in studio. Shreyas, thanks again for coming in. A lot to get to here as football season is almost upon us. But we've been talking last segment about the Melvin Council Jr. news. And, I've kind of been saying a lot as we look at this roster, and Kansas has been linked to some big men the past month or so since their last was in addition to this roster. Not concerned, but wouldn't hate an addition to, the floor general on-ball point guard room, if you will. Needless to say, who knows what the percentages are that Melvin Council comes back to Kansas, but he would be a welcome addition on that front. Your thoughts on this story in general, what Bill Self said the other day about it. I don't know if you want to give a percentage that it actually happens, but as it relates to next year's roster.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good addition to the team. I think we were talking about this off air a few days ago. I like the idea of Melvin Council coming back. I don't like the idea of Melvin Council starting over Taylor Kinney. I think you need to start the guy that could be a potential first-round pick over a guy who's not getting any real league looks. Otherwise, he'd be in the NBA right now.
But who would start?
Yeah, and he's probably be Melvin Council. I think Bill's going to probably start Melvin Council. But the thing is, I think it was Nick Springer who asked a question to Bill at the press conference, and it felt like Bill didn't really seem that enthusiastic about the idea, at least publicly, in the sense of, he was like, yeah, this is what all these youngsters are doing. They're suing the NCAA. Melvin's trying to do the same thing. It seems like he's trying not to get his hopes up about the chance of Melvin Council coming back. But I'm sure they welcome it. But, it just kind of throws all the rotations and stuff like that a little out of whack. And does that mean a guy like Tay Kenny, who's a potential first-rounder this coming year, turns into a bench guy? Or are you moving Leroy Blyden to the bench and you're starting Melvin Council and Tay Kenny? It's an interesting thing. I think the actual likelihood it happens is probably lower than we think it is. I'd give it around like a 30-35% chance. But like the fact that he's suing in Douglas County definitely helps. I think it's just going to come down to interpretation of the rules and obviously the 5x5 rule and, the argument. I'm not a judge, so I have no idea. But I welcome Melvin Council back to the team if it comes back. I don't love the idea if he's starting, and he's probably going to be starting if he comes back. So, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, if I need any legal advice, you're the first person I'm not going to text. Shreyas Laddha from the Kansas City Star joins right now. And another interesting one, I just saw it. I haven't looked too far into it. But, a massive piece from Kansas's team last year, Jaden Dawson, also suing in North Carolina as well, along with like 50 other guys. I mean, I talked a little bit about this, and maybe I need to, sit down and actually form a thought about it because I like to ramble sometimes. But is this the beginning of the end for the NCAA? Because the NCAA is trying to rule with an iron fist of this 5-5, and that's the rule regardless, whatever. And then now everyone's going to start suing, and if they start winning these lawsuits, then it goes, okay, well, now the NCAA can't do anything, even though they've already tried to implement a quote-unquote ironclad rule with the 5-on-5. In your eyes, is this, like, if these lawsuits, if Melvin Council wins, if the guys in Ohio win, if the guys in North Carolina win, is this the beginning of the end for the NCAA? Because we already know, like, Greg Sankey and a number of different people have already talked about, like, the SEC. Like, they might want to explore their options in terms of leaving the NCAA. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it puts a lot of pressure on the NCAA to have some more ironclad rules in the sense of, like, 5x5 actually having a real impact. My hope is, even if it works this year, when the 5x5 rule is actually implemented next year, it'll be really hard to get a loophole around it. Yeah. I think all these guys are doing it because they're like, technically the old rules still apply, but also 5x5 rules can apply as well. I think the NCAA, it just feels like every legislation they get through, every rule change that happens, 2 years later we're changing another thing to make it better, or we're reversing the action. In the span that I've covered college basketball for 5 seasons, I can't even remember what the transfer rules were when I started, which was in 2021. But I'm pretty sure it was not this easy to transfer around. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
And just like everything that's happened since then, it feels like I ask myself, and I try to think of the athletes because I get it. They want to play. They want to get paid, NIL and all this other stuff. But like, if you're like 26 playing college ball and you don't have like some weird extenuating circumstance, it's time to get a job, guys.
Yeah.
Like 26 years old.
Start updating that
like,
LinkedIn, buddy.
It's time to hit the LinkedIn portal and get a job. If you're Hunter Dickinson, he made the G League work, but otherwise I would have been like, Hunter, it's time to go overseas, or it's time to sell cars at a dealership like everybody else and make a ton of money because you were a KU legend or a Michigan legend. But I don't know. I'm kind of over it. I'm tired of these guys suing the NCAA because it's like, I get it. They want to play more college basketball or football or whatever, but like, you got to move on. Life does not stop for anyone.
Shreyas Laddha, Kansas City Star, joins us here in studio, as he does every Friday here on Kansas Nation. Shreyas, Bill Self spoke a couple days ago, and you also had a conversation with Travis Goff. I already threw you under the bus for showing up at 3:04 back in our opening segment, but I said you had a legitimate excuse because you were meeting with the director of athletics.
I was meeting with Goff afterwards, but they told me, I texted the SID, and he was like, just go to the Travis thing. And then he texted me, he was like, actually, Bill just started. You can come. I'll be with you. And I was like, well, that's great.
Nice. Perfect. Well, you only got to hear, an abbreviated part of Coach Self, but anything that you heard jump out, obviously he touched on all sorts of stuff, the Melvin Council stuff. He said a little, comment or two on TBT, but roster, he said maybe isn't completely done, but then he highlighted some guys. Luke Barnett, he highlighted and talked about how Tay Kenny, Leroy Blythe, and those guys are buckets. So I don't know, what's your outlook on this team? Because as we've said kind of throughout this offseason, the national guys don't seem to love this Kansas roster. They're not even in Gary Parrish's top 25 and 1, but I mean, we see a lot of talent.
I think this team is better than last year's roster. I think it's really young, and they might not have the floor that last year's roster had, but I like this roster a lot better. I think they have better shooting. I think they have better building around the star. I thought the Darren, piece of like having a guy like Melvin Council, while he's great on defense and can handle the ball, he was like not great off the ball, and it put Darren in a tough spot because you want Darren to have the ball more often than not. And we didn't see some of the skill showcase, but like I really like this roster. I think the bigs are going to be probably the qualifier for how good they actually are, because I have no idea if Paul Mbia or Christian Reeves are good enough to take them on a deep run. But like, this is probably the most loaded scoring roster they've had in my time since they had Jay Will, Kevin McCullough, and Grady Dick together.
And the offense has been so bad, according to Ken Palm, the past couple seasons. So that's huge.
That's huge. My question is, this is the first time I've seen a Bill Self team, at least that I've covered, that doesn't have a bona fide stud at big man or play a really weird style like KJ Adams at the 5 that worked for them. Yeah. But they had 3 NBA players on that team.
Right.
So I am really intrigued for this team, because I think, like I mentioned, the ceiling could be higher. I think they're at least going to get out of the first weekend this year. I think Tyron Stokes, the complementary pieces around Kinney and Leroy Blyden, they're 2 really good scorers, decent passers. But if Stokes is as good of a passer like Bill Self is saying, like, I feel like we could see some special basketball. And I'm really high on Dennis Parker Jr. It's great that Luka Barnett is seemingly terrific. I am not buying into the hype, because I bought on the Cole Rosario hype last year, and unfortunately that train never really left the station outside of a few games. I believe Cole and Paul will take leaps forward. The question is, how big of a leap? Like, are they good enough to potentially contend for a starting position? I know Paul obviously is contending with Christian Reeves, but like, is Cole Rosario good enough to contend with Leroy Blyden for the starting 2 spot? But I really like the way we constructed it. The 3-point shooting is there. They've went really high on rebounding. Everybody is a plus rebounder outside of Leroy Blyden in the starting lineup. I think this team has the goods. The question is, can the youth that they have keep up the scoring that they're going to need to make a deep tournament run? Because you can't have it go cold like Trey White and Melvin Council did, in NCAA tournament time.
Yeah. Shreyas Laddha from the Kansas City Star joins the show here. Technically, Kansas City. Yeah, you're still Kansas City Star. By the way, congratulations. If you haven't seen on Twitter.
I was waiting till the end, but
I know.
We should talk about this.
We'll talk about it. All right. I'll save it till the end. Yeah. How about that? I'll continue, because you're technically still working right now. So you did, like you said, you showed up about 5 minutes late to Bill Self's press conference because you had a chance to talk to Travis Goff, the athletic director. And you have a great article out right now talking about how they've hired somebody kind of up a little bit in a quote unquote kind of like a GM style of job position, if you will. Kind of break that down for us in terms of, if you think, hey, this is the way that college sports is going, where you need a GM, you need to act like a professional kind of organization, if you will, and just kind of break down, what else you talked to Travis Goff about.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a front office style role they're trying to help build. Like they've been interviewing a lot of professionals from different pro franchises. I'm curious to see who they hired. Travis said they were going through background checks, but they have a verbal commitment from that person. But the interesting thing is, like, that person will be in charge of the rosters of every single major NIL revenue sport: men's basketball, football, women's basketball, then 4 other rev share sports. And I bet you they'll probably end up hiring somebody underneath them to help with those things. Like, it'll kind of like be a GM structure where like that person answers to Travis Goff, but also they're telling Travis Goff, hey, this is what's happening, blah, blah, blah. And maybe they might be hiring, I wouldn't be surprised, kind of a person or 2 under them to help them out with certain teams. Obviously, we have Rob Ianello for KU football, so you don't have to do it for football. But like, maybe there's somebody that's just basketball specific for men and basketball together. But it's a really interesting structure. I don't think I've seen it for any other college team. And Kansas told me they don't think they've seen it either. I think they feel like this is the way to go in the new wave of college athletics. And I'm really intrigued to kind of see how much influence this person holds and who they hire, because I mentioned it in that piece, but like, even the idea of a basketball GM, I had a lot of people in the NBA world tell me, let me know if it's open, because I'm intrigued,
Yeah, right.
And as for what else we talked about, I talked to Travis about when he was looking at coaches, when Bill Self was deciding whether or not. I asked him if he thinks Bill is going to be around for a year, another 2 years. We talked about the booth capacity, how both those stories come out in the next few days, last week or something like that. Apparently, the booth capacity is going to be in low 30s for this upcoming year.
Better than I thought.
Yeah. When it's all said and done, it'll be 43,000 is what I was told, around 43,000, like the range or so. So 4,000 less from a little less than 4,000 than the old Memorial Stadium. But he talked about, the sight lines and kind of how they came about that figure. We talked about KU football. I didn't write about this, but like I asked if Lance is basically on the hot seat if they have another bad season, and he was like, in typical AD fashion, he was like, I don't measure things in just black and white wins and losses, which is true. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm looking at other things of, are we making steps forward? Are we doing this and that? And I don't disagree with anything he said, but I also do think if they win like 4 games last season, he's absolutely the hot seat, and he probably and KU know it. Like it's not like said out loud, but yeah. It was a really interesting conversation. Travis has always been forthcoming and open and transparent with me, which I appreciate, and we have a pretty great relationship, and it's something I'll miss. But yeah, I'll have a couple more stories come out from that, but really interested to see who they hire at this new GM position.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, I actually mentioned this in the opening segment. If 2 plays go Kansas's way in 2024 and 2025, we're singing a whole different tune because KU's going to 4 straight bowl games, and Lance Leipold, they're building a statue right now. And it's just, you're singing a whole different tune if literally like 2 plays go your way. Like the Trey Lathan
But to be
catch,
fair, you could
and
also
then
do the
maybe like Jameel Croft
the games
Jr.
they won close, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
Not that they've won a lot of one-score games,
right?
But I guess
but they lost a lot of one-score games.
We're 1-9 in the last 2 years. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if you, I'm looking at the Trey Lathan interception and maybe Jameel Croft Jr. going out of bounds at the 2-yard line or whatever it was.
TikTok of all the last-second collapses by Kansas football and the halves, and they would make hundreds of dollars off the views of Kansas fans.
Yeah, I know. That'd be tough.
Reminiscing over it.
I do have a football question for you in terms of the wide receiver room. I mentioned this in the opening segment again. I've had a lot of time to kind of think about this. Again, we haven't seen these guys play in games, but talk about 3-headed monster, and I want you to think back to the early days when you had Lawrence Arnold, Quentin Skinner, and Luke Grimm.
Yeah.
To me, the 3-headed monster that we have this year, I'm more bullish on with Nick McMillan, Najee Cox, and Cam Pickett. Am I wrong about that because of the fact that, the quarterback situation, like we just don't know, but they are bringing back Andy Kotelnicki, and you have the 1-2 punch where that means heavier boxes, which means those guys are going to get open more, right? Am I wrong to be more bullish on Cox, McMillan, and Pickett as I was, as a lot of us were, with Arnold, Skinner, and Grimm? I like this 3 more than I like that 3.
Honestly, I don't think you're wrong. I think, the ceiling of these guys is just higher. I mean, Nick McMillan could be a stud. He could be a future wide receiver.
He was top 25 last year in the nation in yards. Yeah.
And he had 7 straight games to end off the season with 100-plus yards. Yeah. Like, he's a stud wide receiver. Cam Pickett's a nice possession guy. He's going to be there to help out a quarterback in times of trouble and all that. And then finally, Najee Cox is kind of more of a question mark for me. But, when you look at those 3 other guys, they were all good wide receivers, but they just weren't consistently good at the same time.
Right.
That was the issue, right? And, when one was on, the other 2 was off. Or when 2 of them were on, somebody would be off. So it felt like they never really clicked outside of maybe the guaranteed rate bowl when they put up, 6 touchdowns.
Yeah. Right.
That was crazy. But, it was against UNLV, so whatever. But I see where you're coming from. I want to see more from Najee Cox, and I want to see Cam Pickett be healthy before I fully say yes to it. But I agree with that sentiment that I think they could be a really good trio.
Yeah, looking forward to it. And again, Kansas has had productive wide receivers the past few years. Of course, last year, Emmanuel Henderson was big. We had a lot of injuries in the wide receiver room last year. Before that, you had 3 guys who really kind of were synonymous with the success in that 2-year stretch of Kansas football that we spoke of. But yeah, big shoes to fill. Running backs, I like the playmakers for this Kansas football team. Hey, you are a resident NBA guy, Shreyas, so we wanted to ask you about LeBron to Philly. He is going to be making, LeBron, less money than roughly 20 college basketball players this year, a 2-year, $8 million deal. He's also leaving his son in the dust. Overall, your thoughts on LeBron to Philly, because I think I saw they were plus 900. The Spurs are still the favorite to win the NBA title next year, but Philly, they got a nice roster, and LeBron, another new chapter for him.
Tremendously good roster. and I'm really intrigued to see because I could see it going really well, or I could see it crashing and burning, just because there's a lot of egos in that room.
Yeah.
But look, sometimes you have to leave your son behind for greener pastures. LeBron went to get some milk, and that milk was in Philadelphia.
In Philadelphia.
And
well, technically New York.
Yeah, New York. Really, New York. Bronny's going to have to grow up. I'm really intrigued to see how Bronny does with Luka and Austin Reeves and all the other guys. But I'm stoked to kind of see how that roster plays out and looks. I think they will probably make the conference finals finally, like the first time ever in the Joel Embiid era. But after that, I don't really have them. I don't think they'll win the title. Like, I just think there's going to be some injury to somebody where they shouldn't have an injury. Like, Joel is not going to be healthy. I haven't seen him be healthy in 10 seasons of NBA basketball. And Bronny's now going to have to, at least he's out of his dad's shadow, right? Like, that's a positive thing.
It's time for him to shine.
Yes, yes.
So that'll be okay.
Yes.
What? Points per game for LeBron right now. Go.
18.
Yeah.
18.
Yeah, as a 40-something-year-old. I mean, that's about what I would have said, too. He's just
he's a
special
monster.
talent, to say
He's
the
a
least.
monster.
Shreyas, we don't want to break your news of your next step, but you did go on Twitter a little bit earlier today and mentioned that you're closing down your chapter of the Kansas City Star. We want to say congratulations. We're going to miss you here on Kansas Nation, but if you want to give a reflection of your time at the KC Star covering KU, some ups and downs from an athletic department standpoint for KU, but you do great work for the Kansas City Star. We're going to miss you around here.
Guys, I'm going to miss hopping on with you guys and talking ball on and off the radio waves. And, I'll be texting you guys plenty about different things going on. But it's a surreal moment. I've been here almost 4 years, and this is the longest I've stayed anywhere in my 20s. And, it's weird to leave a chapter that I really enjoyed covering Kansas. And I really enjoyed covering KU basketball and football. And I've made some lifelong friends like you guys and at the Star. And, I fell in love with Lawrence and Kansas City. It was probably my favorite place I've lived in since college has ended. I'm moving to my 5th city since I graduated.
That's crazy, man.
And it's crazy to me because it's just going by, but the emotions are slowly hitting every time I do these things that are last. And I'm I think it'll really hit me when I'm making the drive down from here to where I'm going to. But obviously I mentioned in the thing that I'm chasing is I'm covering an NBA team and a player that KU fans are well familiar with. So I'm excited about that. And I'm hoping people will stick around to pay attention to my KU coverage. And if not, I appreciate everyone who's read, watched, listened, hated, sent mailbag questions, everything in between over the last 3 years and 10 months.
Yeah. Well, if you do follow Shreyas, don't unfollow him. That would be ridiculous and tacky and not cool at all.
Not cool.
It really wouldn't be cool. I think that would be insane. But if you do not follow Shreyas, follow him on Twitter at SHRE98. He does great work, and his next stop, that'll continue to be the case. We won't get to have you every Friday here on Kansas Nation, but we will certainly, if you happen to be moving close to a college town, we will certainly be tapping into the brain of Shreyas Laddha, and we filter in some NBA chatter as well. So excited for you in this next chapter, and we'll be in touch. Doors always open here in Lawrence, of course, here at Kansas Nation for you. So hopefully come back and visit, and we'll go out and visit you sometime too.
Please do.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. Shreyas Laddha joining us here in studio on Rock Chalk Sports. Hey, more coming up after this sports stock market segment, as we do every Friday. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com. Miles Schneider is the Lawrence Citizen of the Year. He runs the operations over at Crown Automotive. Give them your business. If you're in the market for a car, you will not regret it. You can check them out on South Iowa here in Lawrence, or if you're not local, check them out online, crownautomotive.com. You can browse their selection online if you can't get over there. But again, I urge you to get over there. They've got a great line of new and used vehicles. So check them out, crownautomotive.com, Miles Schneider, and tell them the guys at Kansas Nation sent you. They helped us get started here at Kansas Nation. We cannot thank them enough. Time for sports stock market.
Ding, 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 ding.
Dan, you were belly aching in the opening segment. That's usually, if somebody asked me what does Dan do, that would probably be the word that I use. Just in general, you're a belly acher.
Yeah,
That's a noun.
I'm a
belly
happy-go-lucky guy.
You just belly ache, man.
I know.
So
Just
belly
a belly
ache right
acher.
now about your car problems, or it's not your car problems this
It's
time.
not my car problem. It's actually.
I thought it was your dog. Oh, so is it your dog problems?
I have dog problems. I also have a basketball problem. I have a black eye, If you have, it's probably hard to see right now because I play Tuesday basketball.
Bellyache, I think, is a
and
word.
Shout out to Perry. I think he watches the show.
What's up, Perry?
Didn't call a foul, and I have a black eye. So
It was probably clean.
it wasn't. I have a black eye. Whatever. I don't know. Shout out to Perry. I mean, he was solo reffing, so I can't really blame him. Plus, he's a really good guy. Stocks down on scammers, though. Oh, also, my dog ate my remote, so that's cool. So I have to use my phone right now. So stock is down on Mac. Gosh, Anyway, but yeah, stock's down on scammers because I now have to get a new credit card because somebody got my credit card information and they tried to spend, get this, $99 on SoundCloud.
Of all the places.
I don't. Can you spend money on SoundCloud? So somebody stole my credit card and decided, you know what? I want to listen to the worst rappers alive, and I'm going to pay money to listen to them for a year with my money. So now I have to get a new card, which just sucks.
So you flagged it immediately, and they said, it was.
Yeah, they said, I got an email that said, is this you? Did you spend $99 on SoundCloud? I said, no. That's not me. I did not spend $99 on SoundCloud.
It ain't me.
So that's unfortunate. My dog ate my remote. I have a black eye. It's just not been a good week. But I think also, this is weird. My wife, I think, has signed me up to do a hay bale throwing contest tonight at the Douglas County Fair.
What and why?
She saw it online and she said, I think this would be a funny thing to do.
Okay. That's going to be, you're going to have a busy night because you're going to Kansas City for Shreyas Laddha's going away party. And then you're going to be coming back for a hay baling, chucking
I think hay bale
contest.
first and then.
Okay.
Yes. So we'll see how that all shakes out.
I feel like, and this is not a stab at you, but something tells me you're not going to be able to do it all, and you're going to end up going home and sitting on your couch.
I'll do it all.
Okay. All right. I want documentation. I'm not saying you're a flake. I'm not saying you're a flake. I'm not saying you're a flake. I just, I have trust issues.
Why? What have I broken your trust?
I
got a busy week this Saturday, and I'm going to hang out with you on Saturday.
We have a lot of segments in the future that we can do on this.
I'm breaking down my whole Saturday. I'm spending 2 different sections of my Saturday with you.
Why don't you make it just the first section?
Okay.
So that way you don't have to worry about the back and forth.
I'll probably see you.
No, don't worry about the back and forth.
All right. Hey, stock is up on Hollywood. So this is an interesting story. This actually happened on Friday, but I didn't get around to using it. So apparently, as you know, the New York baseball Mets, they like to wear black uniforms on Friday night games.
Some of the best uniforms in baseball.
Great
The
uniforms.
black Mets uniforms.
Great uniforms.
So good.
But apparently Emma Stone is shooting a movie where she's like a Mets fan or she works somewhere with the Mets. So she was at Citi Field during this game, which in turn, the Mets decided, hey, for the movie, they needed the Mets to wear their like classic white and pinstripe jerseys. So they changed they have been very consistent in wearing these black uniforms every Friday night game, except Hollywood made them change their uniforms to the white pinstripe jerseys for a Friday night game.
That's kind of ridiculous.
Shout out to Hollywood. It's for some movie. It's coming out in like May of 27. It's called The Catch. Don't know what it's about. I know it has Emma Stone in it.
I bet it's about baseball and has Emma Stone in it.
Yes. It has Emma Stone. It's about baseball.
Did you ever see Fever Pitch?
No, I didn't.
Really? Tyler, did you ever see Fever Pitch? With Ben Affleck and
but that's
somebody. It's the Red Sox. It's a Red Sox baseball movie. It would not be on the top 10 sports movies of all time.
Okay, that's good. We need to do that still, by the way.
Yes.
But yeah, I didn't know Hollywood had that kind of pull to be like, because like they've done that before where like they've been like in the crowd and like they did a thing. I remember like Will Ferrell or Mark Wahlberg or somebody did a thing at halftime of like a Pelicans game. But like to actually change the uniforms that the team is wearing for the game, I didn't know they had that kind of pull.
Emma Stone's got that kind of pull, man.
That's what I'm saying. Stock is up on Hollywood.
Hopefully the Mets go back moving forward to their Friday night black uniforms.
So good.
They should, because they are awesome. I love a good black uniform, man. I don't know why. Unless you're Misery.
Remember like this classic, I guess this probably would have been like Carlos Beltran era, where like the Royals black jerseys.
Oh,
the
yeah.
sleeveless ones.
Oh, my God.
I liked those.
Loved them.
I loved them. They were
Loved
really
them.
good.
They were so
really
good. Speaking of the Royals, stock's up on bad timing. I don't know if anybody saw this yesterday, but this is Royals baseball 2026 to a T. I'll get to the bad timing part here in a second, but the Kansas City baseball Royals, behind Noah Cameron, had one hit the Twins through 8 innings.
Yeah.
The Royals led 3-0 yesterday at Target Field. Go to the bottom of the ninth. Lucas Urseg comes in. First 2 guys get out. Royals are up 3-0.
One hit.
They've only given up 1 hit all game.
One
it's
out
going to be a
left.
complete game shutout. Bottom of the ninth, bases empty, 2 outs, up by 3. Urseg hits a batter with a pitch. Next guy, ground ball, base hit, center field. First and second, 2 outs. Still a little bit concerned, tying runs at the plate. 3-2 pitch to Josh Bell. Urseg misses inside. Now the bases are loaded. And even worse, one of the Twins' best hitters, Cody Clemens, is coming up. Cotrero goes to the bullpen, brings in the lefty, Matt Strahm. Strahm against Clemens, lefty-lefty. Bases loaded, Royals up 3-0. Bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. First pitch, strike.
Yep.
Next pitch, strike. It's 0-2.
0-2. 2 outs.
The one thing you don't want to do, 0-2, because you're still up by 3. You don't give him something good to hit.
Serve up a damn meatball.
Strahm throws a meatball down middle to Cody Clemens. Walk-off grand slam.
Yeah.
Twins win 4-3. That was their 3rd hit of the game. Twins 4 runs, 3 hits. Royals 3 runs, 8 hits. Matt Strahm, who has been solid this year for the Royals, not spectacular, but solid, gives up a walk-off grand slam after Urseg loaded the bases. That was the first time a team hit a walk-off grand slam when down 3-0 since 2018. So that's the backyard dream for a kid. The bad timing stock market part of this is that literally this morning, the MLB Players Association put on their Instagram a congratulations to Matt Strahm for having 10 years of MLB service.
Oh.
So you can imagine what the comment sections are like that. So Strahm
way
gives up
to
a
cap it
walk-off
off,
grand slam, and then the morning after, congrats to Matt Strahm, 10 years of MLB service. Tough scene. Tough scene at Target
What
Field.
a
The Royals are
horrible-
46-64.
I mean, also, you know what's terrible too? Are we going to have baseball next year?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah, they'll figure it out.
I'm hearing a lot of people saying that their optimism is
Well,
low.
do you know what Taylor Swift said? The hater's going to hate.
Okay, but like, do you really think that the players and the owners are going to come to an agreement?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
Hey, fingers crossed. I'm just saying what I'm hearing, which is on Twitter from guys, just random dudes. But I think it was Jeff Passan actually put out a tweet about it saying that there's a lot of guys who, a lot of owners think that we're not going to be playing baseball next year. A lot of higher ups. I hope so. Hey, stock's down on UNLV because they did something not great. I guess it was just like wording, which was, I think, bad. So UNLV, as you know, this whole NCAA now is just a money game, and everyone needs funding to get a basketball team or a football team or whatever. UNLV put out a tweet that said D1 basketball team for sale. Said things you can buy for $10 million. Said a Bugatti, Jane Birkin's Birkin bag. You can buy an Embraer Phenom 300E, which is a private jet. You can stay in the mission room at the Biblios for a year. You can buy a house in Vegas, or you can buy 4 Richard Mille Nadals, which is a watch. Or you can spend $10 million, and this is, again, per UNLV basketball, said, the UNLV Running Rebels are one of the most iconic brands in college basketball, a program with a national championship, Final Four legacy, and a home in the fastest-growing sports city in America. With Las Vegas hosting an NBA Summer League, the 2028 Final Four NBA franchise on the horizon, Rebels sit at the center of it all, and according to head coach John Pastner, for $10 to $12 million, it can all be yours. So they're putting out there, hey, we're selling the UNLV basketball team for $10 million.
Incoming statement.
And then shortly afterwards, statement from UNLV head coach Josh Pastner. I want to clarify my recent comments regarding support for UNLV men's basketball program. The Ronin Rebels are not for sale, and my reference to an owner meant to highlight the level of resources, sponsorship, and overall support needed to compete in today's evolving college athletics landscape, not to suggest that anyone could own the program. The program belongs to UNLV, its students, alumni, fans, and the Southern Nevada community, and it always will. I understand what he was doing. But also, like, if you're, how much do you think the Kansas basketball team would be worth if it were to be sold?
Oh my God, I have no idea.
I mean, you're talking close to a B, right? Close to $1 billion.
A lot of value there.
A lot of value there.
A lot of value.
A lot of value there. UNLV, they're selling. And granted, they're not selling it, but $10 million. I mean, come on. That ain't good.
I'm really interested in this next one that is related. We get from UNLV to Illinois. Shout out to former opponents of Kansas football.
Also, shout out to Glenn Kinley.
I am surprised. Yes, Glenn Kinley, friend of the show. He covers Illini athletics up there in Champaign.
Formerly of KSNT.
Talk about this, because this is something that I'm surprised hasn't happened yet. It's 2026. I'm shocked in the age of tailgating.
Yes.
This has never come about.
So, according to Glenn Kinley, again, a friend of the show, we've had him on at least our old show when he was at KSNT, now up in Illinois where he's from. So, notable development here. The new Illini football video board has 2 monitors on the back of the video board facing outwards. And athletic director Josh Whitman says that they're hoping to show the games on those screens, which would allow fans to watch from the tailgating lots.
I mean, literally sounds awesome.
Love it.
Sounds awesome.
Love it.
But wouldn't you be concerned that people are just going to do that instead?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of beer sales you might not get from people that are just hanging out drinking their own beer.
You know what I think they do? Jack up the price on parking. That's what they do. That's what they're going to do. I mean, it costs $50 to park at Illini games. Guess what? Now it's $90.
$250.
$250.
Yeah, $250 if you want to tailgate.
That's crazy.
Why not?
But I love this idea. I mean, that's what it should be about. Like, make the games more accessible and make people go out there. And like, it's going to be good for the community, right? Because I understand people are going to be parking out there, but like people are still going to be going to the games. People are still going to be going into the games. But there's already a massive tailgating community, no matter where you are, right? So that's why I think it's important. Like I don't know why they haven't done this before. I've always said, I don't know if I've said it publicly on the show, on the back of the video board for Kansas, they should put another video board to have people on the hill watch, because during the games, you have like boosters and a number of different people under those tents on the hill. I mean, there's still plenty of people who were able to watch the games from the hill. They were already watching it for free. Now you've blocked off their view with that south end zone seating.
Pop a video board on there.
Pop a video board on. Why not? Why not? I think that'd be a great idea. I don't know. I love it, man. I'm pro fan, obviously. I understand. Oh, they're not gonna make money. I'm pro fan. That's my jam. I think the fans deserve it. I love it. I love that idea that they're going to put video boards on the back of the thing so that people tailgating can actually watch the game. Do you ever? I know people. I don't know how the hell they've been able to do this, but I know people who've like brought TVs like to their tailgates. It's awesome. Yeah, and it's
we
great.
do that for Chiefs games all the time. The 325 Chiefs games.
What do you plug it into?
I don't know.
That's the thing. That's why I don't know how it works.
Some vehicles have power.
Like it's a new thing. I guess like the cigarette lighter
might work.
That cannot be
whole outlets.
Oh yeah. All right.
All right. Let's move on.
Let's move on. Stock is down on logos. We actually have 3 different pictures here that I want to put on the screen. The Monster Big 12 logo is here, and it's worse than I thought. There was like a bunch of fan mock-ups where like the Monster logo was like behind the Big 12 logo. I kind of liked that one, but instead it's just a big long rectangle with a Monster logo and then the Big 12 logo, and they're 2 separate logos.
It's bad.
I don't like it at all.
Maybe they're still fine-tuning it.
It's on the
ugly.
it's on the court. It's on Texas Tech's field.
Yeah, when have they ever changed a court or a field?
It's on their patch.
It does look bad.
It's horrible. There's ways to make it tasteful, but it's not tasteful.
Reddit CFB has a rendering that doesn't look terrible, but it's on Baylor's uniform, which is like the one team that it would maybe not look terrible.
Right, because green.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get that. But like Arizona State, I saw that I think we have that picture up.
Yeah.
Like they put that patch and it looks really bad.
Yeah.
And it's bulky. It's like 4 by like 12. I don't know, man. I just whatever. I'll get used to it. I got used to the FNBO on the court. I got used to it. I'm going to get used to the ripple patch. But that one's tasteful. Again, that's what we've talked about. Like, that one's tasteful. They at least matched Pantones. But there's going to be a bright neon green patch, and it's just going to be, I don't know.
Stocks
Man,
up
I don't know.
on men in makeup hating on pedicures, right?
Yeah.
That's my big takeaway from this story about Dan Orlovsky, John Summerall.
What's your men in makeup? Oh, yeah, he was
Because
makeup.
Orlovsky, who is on ESPN, whatever
Get
show
Up,
that is, Get Up, hating on John Summerall, whose wife put him on blast for getting pedicures, but hating on him, saying that men shouldn't get pedicures. And Dan, I know you get pedicures all the time.
I get pedicures all the time.
And Orlovsky, who is sitting there with his hair and makeup done, hating on men who
Yeah. Dude,
Who
I
get
mean, he's
pedicures.
literally wearing makeup for a show saying, men shouldn't get... Why?
he said, quote, "I am completely against pedicures for dudes. You're a dude. You're not supposed to get pedicures," end quote.
Why?
But again, it's just ironic because he's wearing makeup.
That's the
and,
thing.
Yeah.
Absolutely. He's got, by the way, the worst haircut in the world. He looks so bad.
Got a little fade situation.
But everybody, by the way, if you watch the Get Up clip, everybody's like, dude, you're wrong. Like,
Yeah.
stop being so weird. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's what everyone talks about when they say toxic masculinity. Like, oh, guys shouldn't get pedicures. Why? I love pedicures. You don't like being pampered? You don't like having nice looking feet? You don't like getting massages? That's essentially what they do. They massage the calves, put some exfoliating cream on there, clip your toenails. It's a great time. Have you gotten a pedicure before?
No.
You should. Are you against it?
I'm not against it, but I also don't necessarily have it on my calendar.
You should. I think you should book one. You know what? Your birthday's in February. For your 36th birthday, I will get you a pedicure.
Okay.
Maybe for Christmas. For Christmas, I will get you a pedicure.
Okay.
And you're going to
Give me something else for my birthday then.
You're going to love it. You're going to love
Did you
it.
drink all those Bud Zeros, by the way?
No.
Ah.
They're still sitting in the fridge over there. I don't like them. They actually, so it's weird. The Bud Zeros kind of like,
Man,
you
you're
can tell
coming
it's-
up on being able to drink again here.
yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah, you've had no beers.
Well, I've had a couple. Whatever. Yeah, this is like the world's worst take. So you're not against it, but you've just never had it.
Stocks
done.
down on
'Cause you're-
Houston and Birmingham.
fine. We'll move on.
You're doing that thing again, man. You're doing that thing again.
What
All
thing
right, tell me
again?
about Houston and Birmingham. Let's be up to date on
I
this.
will get you up to date. So the UFL making some changes to their cities and relatively big ones too. So the Houston Gamblers, which is a UFL team, they have announced the, quote, difficult decision to depart Houston as a part of its strategic marketing realignment and long-term growth strategy. So they're leaving Houston. The Gamblers are. I don't know where they're
I'm kinda
going.
surprised
They're-
that Houston can't.
Me too.
I mean, man,
Were they playing at NRG?
it's like a top 5 city in the country in terms of
what I'm saying.
population, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Texans are ruling everything, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, which makes sense. So maybe they just weren't filling the stadium, and they'll try to go maybe do a smaller market, maybe a place with a smaller stadium as well. But again, this is the strange one. So the Houston Gamblers are leaving. Makes sense. There's an NFL team there, so you're going to be sharing that market share or whatever. But the Birmingham Stallions are also going to be moving out of Birmingham. Which the Birmingham Stallions, if you know anything about the UFL, they've won like 4 of the last 6 UFL championships. Like, they are a stalwart in the UFL. Birmingham has nothing right now. They don't have an NFL team anywhere near them. Yeah, they have Alabama, but this is the only pro team around.
Man, there are not very many UFL teams.
Nope, I think there's 8, maybe?
Eight, but now there's 6.
So, they're
Right.
2 of them are
They're
moving,
relocating.
and I did hear that there is going to be 2 expansion teams as well. One of them is for sure going to be in Oklahoma City, and the second one, not sure where it's going to be.
Okay. Move
Brewers at Omaha.
Omaha?
I wouldn't hate that.
Hey, they would probably embrace it.
Absolutely, they would. Now they don't. I don't know if they have a stadium that could fit them.
Right.
Maybe they play in Charles Schwab Field, make it like the old Coliseum in Oakland or whatever. Maybe they go to Oakland and utilize the Coliseum, the stadium that you love so dearly.
That's true.
This is crazy though. That Birmingham Stallions have been so good, but again, this is pro football talk. They said that they're having trouble filling a stadium. They said they play in a stadium that seats 47,000. And they just can't fill it, even though they keep on winning the UFL every year. They just don't have the backing for it. I think that the UFL just doesn't have the backing in general. And I think that they need to full on be like, hey, we are just a developmental league for the NFL. I think that's what they need to pivot to. Instead of trying to be the direct competitor, I think they need to partner up with the NFL. And that's how they stay around.
Let's be honest, nobody follows the UFL. So
no, absolutely not. I mean, I honestly, when Jason Bean was playing, I would see highlights.
People do love DoorDash,
Twitter.
though.
People do love DoorDash. This is weird. Not a lot of information is coming out about this, but DoorDash put out a tweet where there's like a DoorDash red case on a, what are they called? The conveyor belts that bring your luggage on from airports.
Yeah, what is that thing called? Is it called a conveyor belt? It's called the little round where your baggage claim is.
Yeah, baggage claim carousel.
Carousel, yes.
There it is,
yes.
carousel. Apparently, they're starting to do DoorDash Air. This is coming soon. DoorDash Air.
Ooh.
Now,
drone delivery.
I don't know if you know
drone delivery
about maybe. I don't know if you know. Here's the thing: if I'm really craving Lou Malnati's from Chicago, deep dish pizza, how am I going to spend $500 to have it shipped to me and get a cold deep dish pizza?
Somebody will.
Somebody will, and you know what? They're going to do it one time and say that was a waste of money. How could this be feasible? How could this be like an actual thing? I
genuinely don't
understand it. That how this business model cannot
need more information.
Food is perishable unless you're getting canned goods, which you can get, by the way, at a grocery store. This doesn't make sense to me. Who the hell is flying in food that's been cooked unless it's frozen and you have to cook it yourself? But then again, go to a grocery store. If anybody, and I guarantee there's going to be somebody who does this, somebody's going to use DoorDash Air to get McDonald's.
You're going to use it for Buc-ee's.
No, but they're building a Buc-ee's. They're building a Buc-ee's in Kansas City, so I can just do that.
All right, if you can be patient enough.
I
want more information on this. I want to know if it's drone delivery or what it is.
Who's going to utilize this?
They have gotten people to pay an ungodly amount of money for regular DoorDash, so there will be some people who do this. But we need more information on it.
Yeah. Hey,
one more thing here.
Stocks down on resumes. This is absolutely one of the craziest things that I've ever seen before. So Jordan Zeitz, apparently he is the CEO of an AI company called Lemon Lime. Hosted an event, said 7 people left our party with a permanent tattoo. He said, we hosted a YC startup school after party at the Lemon Lime office to meet exceptional people and to find out which of them are just as crazy as we are. That's why we brought an actual tattoo artist to our party and offered an instant interview to anyone who got a lemon lime tattoo. Morally, this is one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. Are you kidding me? This is what you have to do to get a job now in Silicon Valley, is to get a permanent tattoo. And that's not even to just get the job. That's to get a job interview. It's absolutely insane. They did put out a tweet. Jordan Zeitz said, I messed up. After our YC after party, we offered free tattoos and said that we'd be happy to interview anyone who got one. What I thought would be a fun, memorable way to meet people was in reality reckless and instead came across as tying a permanent tattoo to a job opportunity.
Because that's literally what you just said.
Showed poor judgment, which is literally exactly what you said. He said, even though participants chose their own tattoos and no one was asked to get our logo, I should have understood the pressure and power dynamic created by connecting tattoos to hiring. That's absolutely right. It creates a power dynamic where it's like, okay, I will do literally anything. I will get your logo tattooed on me. Branded like cattle.
Yeah, right.
That's a great comparison. Branded like cattle, not even to work there, but to have an interview.
It's rough out there, man.
It's rough
out there. That's
sure,
not fun.
We gave Tyler Brewer a tattoo, but that was more of a hazing thing than anything. And he got the job.
Man, Dan Courtwright is Dan Courtwright
right here on his
today
forehead,
on
by the way.
Rock Chalk Sports. Hope you guys enjoyed Sports Stock Market. We've got more coming up. We got a Chiefs opponent outlook preview to close out the show, but next, a little KU update. That's all coming up next. ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Sean Kellerman, Dan Courtwright back with you here as we are getting your weekend going. Shout out to Elijah Schmidt and Tyler Brewer behind the cameras today as well. Partners of us, Heinen Outdoor Power Equipment. You can check them out here in Lawrence, 1795 East 1500 Road in Lawrence, or online at HeinenOPE.com. That's HeinenOPE.com. They've got tractors, power sports, they've got lawn mowers, trailers, handhelds, whatever you need over at Heinen. Again, give them a visit. You could also give them a call, 785-945-6711. All of your outdoor power equipment needs. All right, Kansas Soccer, they recently had their media day as KU Volleyball did. And KU Soccer, Dan, they are kicking off their season with an exhibition on August 8th. Our Trey Myers will be out there on August 8th.
Mr. Myers.
KU Soccer takes on Iowa. Roster update regarding soccer. Of course, you're losing a lot of talented people, including Olivia Page, who transferred over to FSU, and some graduating seniors as well. But still, a lot of excitement, a lot of momentum with this program, who went to the NCAA tournament, won a couple games last year.
Yeah, and when you look at the pieces that you lost, I mean, that it really sucks. You're losing, Lexi Watts, you're losing Sage Wimes, you're losing Olivia Page to the transfer portal, right? But you're bringing back a lot of talented ladies from this past year. Jillian Grigorski, started all 25 games, 10 goals, 3 assists, 23 points, 59 shots. I mean, she was really, your primary goal scorer, if you will, on the offensive side for this KU soccer team. Carolyn Castans is coming back as well. She had 2 goals last year, but primarily a defender, really nice midfielder / defender in the back end. Obviously a fantastic player, and has really been one of those kind of captains and team leaders for this Kansas soccer program. Livy Moore, by the way, she's going to be in her 5th year. That midfielder, if you will. Again, 25 and 25 games played, 25 games started, 4 goals for her last year, 29 shots as a midfielder, which is really impressive. Kate Langfelder and Jordan Felstad, who we talked to last year, both of them are going to be juniors. They were really nice players for Kansas this past year. Again, you look at all these returning starters from last year. I mean, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of your 11 who are going to be returning from this past year as starters. So really impressive by these ladies. And then you're also bringing back Sophie Daw, who going to be a senior this year, and she has just been phenomenal her entire career for this Kansas team. I mean, she has been so incredible just in terms of the saves that she's been able to have on the defensive side of the ball. So I really like the way that this KU soccer team is going to be shaping up, and you're bringing back a lot of these girls who are Big 12 champions, right? I mean, but the majority of these girls won the Big 12 championship really as like sophomores and juniors, right? I mean, you look at even some freshmen 2 years ago when they won the Big 12 tournament championship over at Sporting KC Park. Last year, wasn't able to do it, but they still made it to the NCAA tournament. This year, they're primed to have an excellent year, returning 7 of their 11 starters.
Yeah, Jocelyn Harima is returning for KU Soccer, as is Kate Langfelder. You mentioned Daw. It all starts with her. Games where Kansas struggles to find the back of the net, Daw keeps them in it with her ability to be a fantastic goalkeeper. And again, Jillian Grigorski, she's going to score a lot of goals this season. She will just be a junior. Castans likely will be looked at as one of the captains of this team, like you said. And again, when we look at the women's soccer schedule, it starts August 8th. That is a week from tomorrow. Iowa comes to town for an exhibition, and then the home slate continues as Utah State comes to Lawrence. Remember, Lawrence went out to Logan last year, or KU went out to Logan last year and faced Utah State. But now the Aggies come to Lawrence Wednesday, August 12th. That'll be the opener for KU officially. Then Kansas will go to a couple different road locations. Springfield to take on Missouri State. They'll take on Ohio State and Columbus. They'll take on Kent State and Kent, Ohio, Utah Valley and Orem, Utah, before they're back here at Rock Chalk Park August 30th against Tulsa. And they open, the Jayhawks, their Big 12 slate at Cincinnati September 18th before the first home conference game is Thursday, September 24th against Arizona State. Then they get Arizona right after that. So, yeah, KU soccer fresh off a fantastic season under head coach Nate Lee. We are excited to break them down. And, of course, KU volleyball as well. We'll have more on them in the coming weeks on Rock Chalk Sports as well. After this, though, we are closing out the show talking Kansas City Chiefs football. We're doing a deeper dive on their opponent in Week 11, the Arizona Cardinals. That's next. ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com. Summertime is made for backyard fun. If you're like me and you've got kids outside running through the grass and family cookouts lasting past sunset, nothing ruins time outside faster than fleas, ticks, and chiggers. They can help you over at Custom Lawn and Landscape. Families trust Custom Lawn and Landscape to help keep their lawns beautiful and protected all season long. They've got a home insect control program that helps defend your yard from those pesky bugs so you and your pets can enjoy the outdoors more comfortably and safely. Right now, when you sign up for the season, your first application is absolutely free. That's right, absolutely free. Your first application, customlawn.com. Go ahead and get that scheduled now. Make sure that these months going into fall, your lawn is protected. Your family is protected as well. Helping you love your lawn without the bugs, Custom Lawn and Landscape. Well, we have reached Week 11 of the Chiefs football season on our opponent outlook, and that means we are looking at the Arizona Cardinals, who have the longest odds to win the Super Bowl of any team in the NFL. They are plus 50,000 to win the Super Bowl for a lot of reasons. Number one, they don't have good players. Number two is that they are in a division that is loaded with good players. The Seahawks last year won the Super Bowl. They went 14-3 in the regular season. The Rams and the Niners both went 12-5, and the Arizona Football Cardinals went 3-14. In fact, the last 4 years, the Cardinals have a combined record of 19-49, which is the worst 4-year stretch in franchise history since moving to Arizona. They did have a couple early draft picks that are enticing. They got Jeremiah Love in the top 5. We know they have some talent with Marvin Harrison Jr. and that sort of thing, but a long way to go for the Cardinals to compete.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, you look at the quarterback situation, right? I mean, you could talk all you want about their skill position guys. Marvin Harrison Jr., nice player, had 600-plus yards last year. Trey McBride, really one of the best tight ends in the league, I would say. I mean, really probably the only bright spot of that offense from last year. 1,200 yards last year, 11 touchdowns. Michael Wilson was a 1,000-yard receiver. I mean,
another guy who scores a touchdown when you need Marvin Harrison or Trey McBride. Michael Wilson gets in.
Classic Michael Wilson, parlay killer. Other than that, I mean, not a lot of glowing reviews. Amari DeMarcado was really nice for them, but now he's on the Chiefs. And then, like you said, they got Jeremiah Love, which they really needed a running back. Michael Carter was really their top running back from last year. But again, I mean, you look at the at least the pass catchers that they have should be relatively nice. But they have Jacoby Brissett getting them the ball. They do have Gardner Minshew as their second string. Gardner Minshew still has maybe some juice left in the tank. Carson Beck played in the national championship last year. So there is that, It's hard. If you're an Arizona Cardinals fan, it's hard. It's got to be hard to be any kind of optimistic. And here's the thing, you probably live in Arizona too, so you can't really get into gardening if you want to get another hobby, right? I mean, just clear your Sunday, start drinking or something. Just don't even turn on the games, because it's probably going to get a little ugly this year. They did get Kendrick Bourne, who was a nice wide receiver. That should be okay. Devin Duvernay, I'm still kind of high on him, which is weird. That's just one of those guys that I'll just never. Devin Duvernay.
He was fun at Texas.
Yeah, he was fun at Texas. Josh Sweat had 12 sacks last year, but he's out as of right now. Hasn't been participating in fall camp. On the defensive side of the ball, I mean, really the only other guy they have is Budda Baker, who is getting a little older, but still a lot of fun. This Cardinals team is going to be really bad, and this is going to be one that the Chiefs absolutely have to not only win, but I think dominate, just because this is going to be a part of the schedule where the Chiefs are going to be in playoff contention. They need to keep their foot on the gas. They need to get a win and they need to gain momentum out of this game. It would be hard because if you beat the Cardinals but you only beat them by like a touchdown, then things can get a little shaky there.
Yeah, it could. And again, I think that you look at the Week 9 game that we talked about a little bit earlier with the Jets is kind of a trap game. I had the Jets covering in that game just because the Chiefs are coming off a tough stretch. The first 4 games, you got to go 3-1. We said that many times, but that means winning against the Dolphins and Raiders and splitting against the Broncos and Colts in all likelihood. If Mahomes is playing, which everything is pointing toward him playing, you expect to go 4-0 because the games against the Broncos and the Colts are at home, and the games against the Dolphins and the Raiders are against the Dolphins and the Raiders. So you have a 4-0 potential right there. Then you've got 4 hard games on paper, then these 3 games. And then next week we'll continue this outlook because it gets really difficult beginning Week 12, Dan, when you look at this Chiefs schedule. And that's going to be down the stretch. So this is something that if you call it, bam, after the Cardinals game is Week 11, there's 10 games right there before Week 12. I mean, you've got to bank some wins. I mean, you got to bank 8 wins in that stretch because beginning Week 12, it gets really hard.
Yeah, like you said, Week 12, I mean, you have a 3-game road stretch against a few of the toughest teams in the league, right? You're facing off against the Bills. Obviously, the Bills are going to be very good this year. You're at the Rams, who to me feel like, as of right now, the Super Bowl favorites, right? The Bengals could be really good. Now, their defense is going to be really bad, but still they have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and if Joe Burrow's healthy, and, you know, I think that they are going to be a really nice team, and plus you're in Cincinnati, and they have a weird beef with us. Then you got the Patriots after that, now that's at home, but that 4-game stretch right there, really 5-game stretch, because you have the 49ers, who actually, by the way, just got Deebo Samuel again, signed him for $7 million. I know, big deal, but still, he's a good player, and I think he fits into that system well, and we've seen it, right? Imagine, close your eyes and imagine Deebo Samuel in a 49ers jersey. Can't do it.
Can't do it.
I know, it's going to be tough, right? You have a 5-game stretch right there, and then obviously you close it out with the Chargers and then the Raiders. Chargers are going to be good. Raiders are terrible. I like the fact that you close out with the Raiders, but there's a 5-6 game stretch right after this Cardinals game. That's why I'm saying you need to keep your foot on the gas and gain that momentum. You need to lay the hammer down against this Cardinals team because of the fact that you have a very difficult stretch, especially those 3 road games back to back to back right after that Cardinals game. It's going to be really tough.
What do you think Kenneth Walker does in terms of improving the Chiefs' pass game? Because they haven't had a legitimate threat as a running back in quite some time.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, I just saw a clip today on Twitter of Isaiah Pacheco just absolutely missing a hole where it was supposed to be an outside run. He runs inside, and Josh Simmons is out there sealing, and he sees Isaiah Pacheco run in front of him. He goes, "What are you doing?" Right? So Kenneth Walker obviously has better vision, and I think it's going to open up the wide receivers more. And again, you can just look at this as kind of the similar way you can look at the KU football team, where if you have Kenneth Walker, who's a legitimate threat between the tackles and in the passing game, they're going to load up the box, which means the other guys are going to be getting open a lot more. So I think it just spreads out the field a little bit more evenly, and you have a legitimate threat as opposed to Isaiah Pacheco, who was a terrible running back, and then Kareem Hunt, who's just a 3 yards in a cloud of dust guy.
Yeah, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. That's Kareem Hunt, right? Hey, that's our outlook on the Arizona Cardinals. Not much to say on them other than the Chiefs need to win that game and win by a lot. That would be our preference. Hey, that's going to do it for Rock Chalk Sports this week. Big shout out to Elijah Schmidt and Tyler Brewer behind the cameras today. For Dan Courtwright, Sean Kellerman saying, make sure you join us next week. KU football fall camp starts next week. We officially have entered the best time of year. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you 4 to 6 on Monday for Rock Chalk Sports, ESPN Kansas City, kansasnation.com.